good afternoon, Aggie Land, and we welcome you inside the TexAgs studio for episode 7 of Looch and Bock. I am Gabe Bock, joined each week by the source, Billy Liucci. We're live every Wednesday, high noon, right here at TexAgs.com/live and on the TexAgs YouTube channel. Looch and Bock, presented by Bock Realty Group, luxury, new construction, first-time home buying, investment, real estate, and much more. Hey, look, you're interested in real estate? More often than not, everybody is at some point or another, right? I mean, you don't want to rent your whole life like Louis. At some point, you want to buy a house and actually start paying yourself. And when you're ready to do that, no matter what kind of price point it is or what you're looking for, just let's get started, man. Gabe at BockRealtyGroup.com. Bock Realty Group, turning our experience into your advantage. Good afternoon, sir.
What's up, buddy?
Doing good?
Good. We're over here talking Chicago. And
oh, man, you didn't even know I made a clandestine trip to Chicago over the weekend, which
Ella.
is funny because I blasted it on socials.
Wait, you took Everly?
I took Everly, 10-year-old.
10 years. That's crazy.
We do a 10-year-old trip, daddy, with father, son, father, daughter.
That's crazy.
Megan does 8, and we try to do something bigger at 13. But we did almost everything imaginable in 47 hours.
Wow. That's
all we were there. We didn't sleep much, but we did as much as you could do with a 10-year-old.
That's awesome. Did you hit a Cubs game? Were they there?
Well, they were there about the time we landed, and Megan's aunt and uncle live about 8 blocks from there. Actually, when they were scoring runs, you could hear the roar.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's how close they are.
That's cool.
So we went to this place called Danucci's. Highly recommend. You're going back. Okay. It's in the north side, close to Clark and Lincoln. Okay. You've got to go to Danucci's. I'm telling you, it was unbelievably good. Get a pizza for the table.
You know I'm going to do that.
And then you've got to get some of their pasta dishes. Incredibly good. Bolognese out of sight. Out of sight.
So you were saying how, Chicago, you got certain areas like, you don't want to, just like any big city, stay away from there, go there. Mm-hmm. We were walking and I was with, I don't know who it was with. It was one of the Barstool crew, and they were like, "Yeah, this is good. This is a great area." And right when they said it, these 2 people come running out of like a Walgreens, with bags of stuff, and the owners come running out, yelling at them and chasing them. And then he goes back in, and a third guy tries to run out, and he hits him at the door and tackles him. And then other worker from in there, she comes out filming it all, and the kid, they're kids, they're like teenage kids, and they run by, and she's filming them.
Dude, I was at that.
And I'm like, great. You're right. It's great.
If it was really close to,
it's 9:30 a.m. and everybody's ripping crap out of the Walgreens.
Well, we went to that Walgreens and paid hard-earned money for what we bought.
I love Chicago.
And it was right across the street from the Waldorf. We had pancakes. It was right there by the mile. It's fantastic stuff.
Love Chicago.
I do too.
But I love Aggie football even more.
I do too.
And I love SEC wins.
Golly.
And top 5 rankings even more than that.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. I love, if you're undefeated and ranked 5th, let's just have a throwback night too. You got that. Mm-hmm. Saturday, 6 o'clock is going to be fun. Last Saturday was unbelievable. Let's keep it going, man. A&M's favored by 7.5 against the suddenly sneaky Gators team. They got talent. But A&M's 5-0 here, coming off that victory. Fun-filled night and a blackout 31-9. It was airtight for almost 3 quarters, but game got away from those Bulldogs late here. But now you got Florida coming in.
I don't.
Not a pushover after a win over Texas.
They're so far from. I think they're so far from sneaky or a pushover.
They're not a pushover.
If you look at them, right. First of all, you heard Elko say this week. By far, he said by far the most talented team we've played. Now,
I was surprised he said that.
I'm not.
I was surprised he said by far. Like when Jay Cutler said he has a stronger arm than John Elway, and then he said hands down.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, now you lost me.
Look, compared to who?
Notre Dame.
Mississippi State, yeah. Auburn, yeah. Not as much. Notre Dame, yeah. I think so. I mean,
that's pretty amazing.
Notre Dame's got that great backfield talent. They got some O-line. Notre Dame's really talented, which is why I'm okay with him saying that. Like, A&M can handle the talent.
Oh, heck yeah.
Auburn's defense is really talented. A&M kind of moved up and down the field on them. They just couldn't capitalize with touchdowns. We went through all that, the penalties.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a reality to it, Gabe, where Florida's got – the Gators have they got a really good O-line. They've got a running back that's he's really as good as anybody in the SEC.
Top 3 in the league?
They decide to give him the football. Yeah, top 3 in the league.
Finally did it 20-something times. Look how it worked out, and it opened up some stuff downfield.
Which means they're going to try to do it again this week and test A&M out. Yeah. They've got Lagway, who, he's had his issues with ball security, but we know what that talent is when it's clicking. Then you add last week, they say, oh, by the way, here's our 5-star freshman receiver who went crazy in the spring game, and now he's gone crazy in the spring game, went crazy against Texas.
Well, they have another Wilson, Eugene, who had a touchdown against South Florida late. And I'm like, oh, well, that's Eugene Wilson. Nope, it's Dallas Wilson, and I've never heard of him.
And now everybody
here's my secret weapon.
And here's the other thing. That is going to be the best, forget about talent. Talent's one thing. Mm-hmm. The best defense that A&M will have faced this year is this Gator one. And look, I know Texas put up numbers on, if you look at the stats, and they ended up scoring, 21 points. Florida's defense the defense in running game is why they won that football game. Their defense, I saw a stat, and this speaks to Texas's O-line, which we'll talk about later, but 35 pressures in that one game versus the 4 games prior, Florida had 35 pressures. They got NFL dudes on defense. I don't know how they lose. TJ Searcy had a couple of tackles for the Aggies this week. You've got the guy over there. What's his name? I know I've forgotten his name.
You mean Sapp?
No, the guy that A&M wanted that went to LSU. How was it? Defensive end. But anyway, you got one guy at LSU. You got another at A&M. All the guys that went to the NFL. And then they've got still, this will be the best D-line A&M's faced. It'll be the best defense they've faced. This is a tough game, and they're confident. And, oh, by the way, they're also led by a head coach who is still very much desperate.
Oh, you're going to get their best shot.
There's very much fighting for his job. So this is
bulldog backed in a corner right here, and you better match their intensity because they're bringing it.
And we're kind of reverse. We're working this in reverse for a minute here, but
all good, man.
Like, Gabe, this game, when you look and you go 3 road games over the next 4 weeks, and the stakes keep getting higher and higher, this game is massive. If you just think about what a win versus a loss means. If you win this one, you're going on the road for 3, and I know nobody wants to think this as you keep winning, but if you could get 2 of 3 on the road, man, you are in a prime position to make the college football playoff.
There's no doubt.
Your odds, you're basically to a point where you split with South Carolina and Texas, and you're either in the SEC title game or you're in the playoff.
Yeah. And if you lose, you go to motorcycle night next week.
If you lose,
Vietnam,
you
be
lose
brutal.
some momentum. You go to motorcycle night in Fayetteville, and it's like Petrino's return, and then you're kind of going, man, you don't have to run the table in those because, again, the magic number's 2. Mm-hmm. But then if you don't, you got to go win in Austin.
It cancels out what you did in South Bend. You won that, which almost buys you a loss, but now all of a sudden you lost to a team you should have beat.
Because of what that South Bend win could look like at the end of the year, I wouldn't say it would cancel out one of these conference wins that you fought so hard to get.
There you go.
Auburn. And it is what it is. Everybody's playing this game where you just have to survive and advance. It is still 1 of 8. You could lose this, run the table, and be a top 4 seed in the play. You could be projected to win the SEC.
That's right.
But we know that the race is quietly, and coaches don't talk about this, but the race is to 10, and it's so hard to chalk one up in that left-hand column each week. And they've done it the last 2 weeks, and they've done it in their last 3 games, Gabe, and it's been very difficult in different ways each game. But they've done it, and it won't be. It'll be anything but easy on Saturday. I don't see a world in which A&M beats this team comfortably like they just did Mississippi State. Somebody will, I think, later in the year, because I do think they're going to ultimately, the schedule's going to beat them down. But
it may look a lot like it did with 4 minutes left in the third quarter, and it's sitting there 7-3.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 minutes left in the second quarter, it's 3-0.
I just think Florida's –
that's an OG.
There's too much for them to pull away. Like, A&M just wore out this team. Mm-hmm. I think Florida. Look, Miami didn't do it. Miami, that was 13-7 with what? Midway through the fourth quarter?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
I know South Florida beat them. That was a comedy of errors by Florida that day, and it was a final snap game.
Well, they beat LSU if Flagway throws 2 picks.
And in that game, yeah.
Or even 3.
LSU has 5 picks, and they still only managed 20. They scored 13 offensive points. So take away the pick 6. In Death Valley, you gave them 4 turnovers that they were only able to turn into 13 points. That's how. Well, 2 things. We're talking about the stout defense, right? And it is. Miami kind of proves that. But I think they've also been feasting on some questionable offenses that we were told were going to be great all offseason.
Every last one of them outside of Miami.
But particularly in Baton Rouge and Austin. Those 2 teams, we were told how great they were going to be offensively. And whether it was you, me, it was especially me, anyone that dared say that either of those offenses, that just to say, man, I don't know. I got questions. Nussmeier hadn't really proven it to me. He's got too many lows to go with the highs. That was obvious. I'm not crazy for saying that. Anyone that watched football last year that was being honest would have told you that. They lost Will Campbell and another NFL tackle, and they already couldn't run the ball and had issues. So to me, oh, by the way, they lost a tight end that's already getting it done in the NFL.
Wasn't Lacey there last year?
Lacey, Mason Taylor.
Yep.
Like, that offense lost a ton, and I already had questions about Nuss and their running game. And then you're losing that O-line. Same thing about Austin and Arch, which I'll save that one. We'll talk about it in a minute. But you were just, if you dared to question their ability to replace 4 offensive linemen and Matthew Golden and Quinn Ewers and Gunnar Helm, you were like somewhere between a clown and supervillain.
Almost the entire offensive front, 4 of them.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, like, you were either you knew no ball or you were like the world's biggest hater. Yeah. Put your mask on and listen. So I do think Florida. This is what will be interesting this weekend. It's Florida's D-line and the Aggie O-line and run game, because I think both of those teams are really lacking up front. And I think this will be a game that, if you're the Texas A&M offensive line,
make a
circle
statement.
This game and
That's
say,
right.
Let's go. Yeah. This is our toughest test.
Hey, how do you kind of wrap your mind around what the stats think? The actual stats on Florida. They're not in the top 6 in the SEC in any single major category. They're 7, 8, 9, 10, and everything. Tackles for loss, sacks, third down, red zone D, takeaways. I mean, offense, deep scoring. I mean,
because I watched their game.
But then you watch and you're like, oh shoot, and they don't have much sacks. They don't get home much, but they pressure.
Yeah, and you watch their D line and like you'd ask Cushing and Elko and Klein, how much does this line concern you because they don't get to the quarter, and they'd probably laugh. Like, they're really good players.
It's like our D-line last year was on everybody's radar every single game, even though the stats didn't bear it out.
Yeah, very good comparison. With NFL guys across it, Elko would tell you that. We talked a lot about it during the offseason. Like, teams schemed around that D-line because 100%. It was A&M's biggest threat. When you took the field against that A&M defense, that was what had to worry you.
Mm-hmm.
It started with Notre Dame. It went all the way through the season. They just schemed around that because that was how they beat you. You can't do that anymore with this A&M defense. So, 100%. Whose position would I rather be in? I said this last week, right? Whose position would I rather be in? It's certainly A&M, and it's why I'm going to pick the Aggies to win. And here's the other thing. Kyle Field, the home field advantage the last 2 weekends at Kyle Field has been as good as it's ever been. Yep. Ask Jackson Arnold, ask Hugh Freeze, ask Blake Shapen, ask Jeff Lebby.
Ask Jordan Rogers and Cole Kubelik, who don't have a dog in the fight.
It is as good as it's ever been.
Yeah. You saw Cole Kubelik say, this is the loudest stadium I've ever been in.
Yep.
Hands down. The guy played center for 4 years in the SEC and has been down on the field for the last 10 in the SEC network.
Yeah. Cole, when he said that stood out. Jordan Rogers said something about it. I think T-Bob was tweeting about it from up there at Barstool watching on TV. It was so loud and it was so fun. But, like, think about these two on a neutral field, and then you move that game into the Swamp. And how big a swing, it doesn't mean A&M can't win there, contrary to what Steve Sarkisian said. We'll visit. Don't bookmark that one because I want to talk about that. That's insane.
Yeah, content. We got content today, Billy.
But you go to the Swamp, and what a boost that is for that football team. How much better, how much more difficult they are to beat there. And then you take Texas A&M from a neutral field, and you go to Kyle Field. And how much better this team is at Kyle Field with that defense and that crowd and the 12th man at night. How much better is A&M? And then you just talk about how much worse each of these teams are when they have to go into any team, have to go on the road in the SEC. It is a massive swing. So you give me that. I know what Lagway's upside is, but if you're just basing it off how they've played this season, and Lagway still looks dinged up. I like the quarterback situation, and I will take Mike Elko over Billy Napier all day, every day. And it doesn't mean that Billy Napier just beat a coach who I think is overrated but still really good, who has had his team in the last 2 college football playoffs. Like, Sark's good coach. He's probably really good. I don't think he's as good as people say. Like, he's not the next freaking Nick Saban, as folks in Austin would have had you believe. He's not.
It's the Texas factor.
They laugh at Ryan Day, and he goes and stomps them. They look down their nose at a guy like Kalen DeBoer. He stomped him twice, but he's really good. I think it's fair to call him a top 10 coach. I thought it was stupid to call him the number 1 coach. And Napier beat him. And honestly, with each of them having a bye week, Napier out-schemed him. They out-game planned him. They out-coached him.
Mm-hmm. And they had an unbelievable trick up their sleeve that worked like crazy.
Yeah.
Now, Elko's going to be more prepared for that.
Well, and by the way, I think a lot of it, they did have that extra week, and we're playing at home and desperate. I mean, I do think that made that. But when you look at Florida, you see good football players, and you see a team that you're like, man, I hope they're not at the start of a roll. And it might be where they are, and A&M wins a really close 4-quarter game, and you look up in a few weeks, and that's the only blip, and the Florida fans are going, damn, if we could have just pulled off that A&M one, imagine what if.
Yeah, no doubt.
Or it could be where the Aggies beat them in a close game, but now it's their 4th loss of the season, and things start to crumble from there.
I do think at worst, this is the second best offense Florida will face. So it'll be a challenge for them, too.
All year?
No, so far, to this point.
Yeah, at worst.
At worst.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a direct comparison offensively of Miami and A&M a game apart against Notre Dame.
Right, 100%.
See how that looks.
I can't wait to do a direct comparison with Texas.
Yeah.
Now go pound this team at Kyle Field.
No, that would be nice. That would be nice.
You can already do that. Our quarterback went on his first SEC road start and kind of pummeled Florida down there last year. But, hey, let's look back for a minute. Liucci's last look back here. A&M 31, Mississippi State 9. And like we said, if we're all there, I mean, it was just such a fun night at Kyle. Blackout was pulled off exceptionally well. The place was rocking. The Aggies showed up to the party for sure. They dominated the back half of that game, turned it into a blowout. I mean, not a perfect game on offense by any stretch. Had their moments. But, I mean, you talk about defensive. What did A&M not give you that you need defensively on that particular occasion? This is now 2 in a row where they gave you everything possible to dominate a football game.
This Aggie defense has been incredible. I mean, where do you want to start? 3rd down, 1 of 23.
Yeah.
Opponents go 1 of 23. You want to go rushing yards the last 2 weeks. Mississippi State with, I think, a really good 1-2 punch. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Have they said anything about Fluff Bothwell?
They said it's a severe sprain.
Okay.
So not broken.
Good, but sometimes they'll say it's better to be broken, but that sucks because he's really good. But they had 2 of them. Yep. And but hold them to 77 yards rushing. The week before, Auburn was around in the 50s, 52.
Yep, you're right.
Total yardage. I think they've allowed 170. They've averaged, basically it's 200 yards a game in their first 2 SEC games, and it is really 1 touchdown allowed in 8 quarters. The other one they ran back the interception to the 2. It's
and
1 touchdown.
Going to do that once a game.
Great throw, great catch.
Yeah, it took a perfect throw. Yeah. NFL like Drake May kind of perfect throw.
1 touchdown allowed in 8 quarters. Look, I don't know which of those stats you want to use. 200 yards a game. about 60 yards rushing a game, 1 of 23 on third down, or 1 touchdown allowed in 8 quarters. Any of those, take them. I think it's a perfect description of how dominant the Aggies were. 9 sacks the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They've been disruptive. I love the fact that they got 2 takeaways this week. That was something we talked about that I'd been wanting. But more than anything else, Gabe, like I said about Florida, you just watch this team play football. You see individuals getting better. You see guys tackling. They're making open field tackles. They're taking guys to the ground. When they miss, they're redirecting enough to where the help's coming. They look confident. They look aggressive. They're pinning their ears back on third down. They're coming after you. They're allowing Elko to be Mike Elko and dial up some stuff that opposing quarterbacks can't really handle.
Well, they're
certainly
O-lines
can't handle.
So I get you in 2nd and 9 and 3rd and 7. Then he can do all the stuff he likes doing that he's been dreaming about for decades.
And you don't want to throw on early downs against these guys because you might get sacked and kill the drive. So you're in a catch-22.
Yeah.
This one impressed me way more than the Auburn game. What impressed me about Auburn?
That's interesting.
What impressed me about Auburn is holding Cam Coleman in check. That was number one. Everything else below that. Secondly, it impressed me that Auburn took the ball 3 times in that fourth quarter with a chance to take the lead and got 1 yard. Those were the 2 things
it never got out of being totally airtight for 4 quarters.
Yeah, but if you told me going in, hey, A&M's going to do this to Auburn, the only part I would have said no is 4 catches for 18 yards by Cam Coleman.
Yeah.
I would have said no.
You're right.
If you'd have told me they were going to do what they did to Mississippi State, I actually would have been less. Pull up their stats while we're talking, if you don't mind, Gabe. Mississippi State versus Tennessee.
Oh, I got that right here.
Let's look up a little box score there. Because, and I think A&M's defense, I've questioned Tennessee's defense since that Georgia game when Gunnar Stockton is
State ran for 203 and had 378 total and scored 34 points against the Vols.
34 points.
Yeah.
And that was not double overtime, right? That was regulation. I think that was one overtime.
Mm-hmm.
34 points. They almost doubled the yardage. They 200 yards rushing versus 77. Look, to hold this team to 1 touchdown, and I know it was A&M was still playing. It wasn't against the backups, but you gave up a touchdown after you'd put them up. It was 28-3. To hold this team to 1 touchdown and shut them down the way they did, and like you said, they had to hold on to it for 3 full quarters, really, before there was breathing room.
That's right.
They took the field a lot of times where you're like, don't let these visitors come in and go up 10-0. They really never let them come close. They had 1 bad drive the whole game, and I think this team has had maybe, I'm trying to think, Auburn's field goal drive. They've had 2 bad drives, both of which resulted in field goals in 2 games.
Mm-hmm. 8 out of 12 MSU drives, less than 10 yards. I mean, it's just dominant performance. Keep going, but
I would say 3 bad drives. They did score a touchdown. It was like a 3. So
1 play, right?
3 drives.
Yeah.
In 2 games. So that's probably roughly 20, 21 possessions.
There's some heroes we need to get in while we stay on defense, and we'll flip it. But, I mean, 100% Cassius Howell and what he's doing. Even the pick was caused by him, and it was right after roughing the football because it wasn't the passer. To me, he got more of the football than the quarterback. That was a bogus call if ever I saw one. And then 2 plays later, he's like, well, I'll just dominate this dude again. And then he did get the football Myles Garrett style, popped into there. You get no credit for that. There's Sean Porter in 12 against Ole Miss, and Stephen Jenkins runs it to the house. You get nothing in the stat sheet for that. Huge part of that game that turned out to be a win.
Well, I said Cassius Howell killed 4 drives. Okay, so Mississippi State had 12 drives.
Yeah.
He killed 4 of them. His 3 sacks were for 26 yards in losses.
He's a menace.
He killed a third of their drives. Cassius Howell killed. He tipped a ball that got picked, and he had 3 sacks that were like drive killers. Think about that. That's one guy. You had a lot of other guys playing good, but when he's going, And even when he's not collecting all those, he's been playing. Look, he's playing at like a SEC Defensive Player of the Year level. And now people aren't going to talk about it until he puts together like maybe another game like this. They'll start to really notice because he's playing great, great football.
Man, he really is. He really is. First time since Von Miller that a guy's had 3 sacks in 2 different games.
Wow.
You got to go back to 2009.
That includes
Von Miller.
Someone.
That includes Myles Garrett.
Yeah, that includes.
We've had a lot. I mean, every other team in the NFL's got a defensive front 7 player from A&M on it.
We
And
were saying the other day from Miles on the high sack total for an Aggie. Yeah, 10.5. I was
going to say
10.5. So
look, what was my bald prediction in episode 1 that he'd double Stewart and scored?
Well, he's already passed him.
He's already passed him in 5 games.
It's crazy.
This is ridiculous. Now,
And
to your
by
point
the way,
earlier, he's
elite.
about to get identified.
Oh yeah, and by the way, Florida's got a great tackle this week.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, he's already commanding attention. He's got such a nice inside.
Yes,
like
sir,
Sean described, that ghost move that if you overset even with that help's worthless because if you set too far, he's so good at getting up underneath that. He's really good. He's gifted. I've been saying that, Gabe. You go back with Cassius Howell, and these are the things that don't get bookmarked. And then when my bigger complaint is like when our own fans do it. Oh, Liucci was saying this guy was good. But when it's true, which is way more often than not, they're just there high-fiving their buddies and talking about how great it is, and they fail to go back and go, man, you know what? You really said that. Well, I'm here to tell you, I really said that, bitches.
I'm here just to give you all the credit you deserve, Billy.
No. I
did think South Carolina would be good this year. You said no way.
Well, yeah, but I've been wrong on some of those too. But my thing is this: I've been right so far about South Carolina, Texas,
You've had a nice year actually,
and LSU. Problem is, when I say this, it's not about, oh, give me credit. It's about to all you jerks that just don't let it go when something's wrong. Like you did about Des Ricks, and now you're high-fiving every time that guy makes a play, like you did about Cassius Howell. Cassius, I said last year when they signed him, this is a bigger signing than you're getting credit for. And they almost lost him to somebody. I can't remember who. Maybe it was Penn State. I don't remember, but it was like on the fence and nobody really – I forget who the D lineman was that everyone seemed hyper-focused on that the Aggies did end up losing late.
Was it Uman Mielen?
Maybe so. It might have been. But it was somebody that they didn't get.
I remember a little bit of a freak out.
I think it was even someone else because I never felt like the Aggies truly wanted Uman Mielen because of some just locker room stuff, which he still kind of puts on display. But it was someone else too. But anyway, they didn't get a guy. Cassius Howell was a big deal. Elko, he told me that when they got him. He came in here, he looked good early. Talked about him as the year went on, maybe being A&M's best pure pass rusher. Talked about him in the offseason being an impact guy. I said repeatedly that NFL scouts were telling me this guy's second-round projection. And they always say the one thing that they downgrade him on has nothing to do with his play. It's actually just not, he doesn't have long arms for an edge rusher. You know how the NFL is. But it's not his play. So they've been on him. It's not a surprise to anyone that's been following this kid since the day he got here. Gabe, I'd love for you to do a little research if you feel so inclined.
Always inclined.
Actually, I don't want to say it yet. I want to talk about it off air and we'll research it. Because what will happen is one of these accounts will go and
do it
while we're doing the show. They'll post it. And I think it's a really interesting.
Save it for Luke.
We'll give it to Luke after the show. I think it's a really
hockey
interesting
playing evangelist. Is
really
pretty good
interesting
at stats.
Question.
Yeah,
about Cassius Howell.
Okay,
so
interesting.
But Cassius Howell, Gabe, is development, and I know the next guy you're going to talk about is development.
Damian Sanford, baby. Yep. That dude just makes plays all over the field. You want to talk about filling up the stat sheet? Gary Blair say, girl filled up the right side of the stat sheet. That's all the stuff, though. It doesn't include points. Yeah, he gets plenty of tackles, but the sack for the TFL, I mean, up there in the stat, they didn't know who to give the forced fumble to, so they just gave it to him because it probably was, even though I thought it was Jordan Shaw. But
you talk about on that blitz on the running back where he just
over the middle when they just lost the football.
Yeah, I thought it was Shaw. Did they give it to?
I think so.
No, I think they gave it to Shaw.
Did they really? Okay.
Yeah, but I thought,
he announced it.
But he's running over. You know, like how about the play though where he obliterated the running back? That was That was a fumble. I mean, it wasn't, but it was like that close to being a fumble.
It was so close. Absolutely.
And at the time, I think it was 3-0 still.
Exactly.
Certainly no more than
first quarter.
Yeah, they gave Shaw the.
Oh, they did. Okay, good.
But
Damien, I was glad to see on the field.
Damien,
man.
That tackle for loss we talked about, 9 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and I love when the tackles for loss are 2 for 13, not 2 for 2. I mean, not that it's still not good, but
sure.
And the interception. And then you go back to last week against Auburn, what he did. And then you go back to the week before against Notre Dame. Was it his first play?
Yes.
No, it wasn't.
Was it not?
I said that. I need to go back and change it. It wasn't his first play because Scooby got hurt on the interception.
And then that next drive.
Drive. But he blew him up for a sack. And then he was in on the big 4th down stop. Like, he's got a knack for making big plays. He's got a nose for the football. And what I like, Gabe,
sticking fast.
And when Scooby comes back, which will be soon, you got 3 guys now. And what that does, you can't just put Sanford back. People are saying, well, does he take over for Scooby? I don't know how they'll work that. Fortunately, when you got a guy coming back from injury, you can ease him back in. But I just think it's a great mix to have.
Mm-hmm.
They both fly around. They're both fast. They're both playmakers. You can figure out in game who's playing at a higher level, who's feeling it better. But also, it gives you depth. You can have them both on the field at the same time at times. Now you feel so much better. And even Jordan Lockhart was sitting there flashing a couple times to me too. So, that position is really
a nice play on the injury.
On the injury, yeah. That position's starting to really stand out to you.
It's a room now. Like there's Cooper and these guys come along, but then
Noah McHale's going to end up being a good one. But it's
a room of guys.
Here's the thing too. Dalton Brooks getting better and better.
Oh yeah.
We talk a lot about Des Ricks, but now I'm looking at this group, and the words I keep thinking about are twitch, range, explosive. Now, like Dalton Brooks looked like he shot out of a cannon a couple of times the other day on the blitz. A couple other plays. We talked. Sanford flies around. Scooby flies around. York now is 2 steps ahead mentally of everybody else. And he
definitely.
Des Riggs, a long, rangy cover guy. We talked about Cassius Howe and man, they are.
Blankett's playing some good football in SEC play. I feel
Who'd you say?
Blanket.
Lee. Oh yeah,
and Radcliffe.
Absolutely. The last 2 weeks, Will Lee looks like what I thought Will Lee would look like all year, and that's a major development for this defense. But yeah, I mean, but it's just something about certain guys to me like Howell, Sanford, Scooby, Brooks, those guys to me just are super. When they see something, the closing speed and they're like missiles out there. And Ratcliffe's got some of that to him too. Ratcliffe is when he sees it in front of him, they're suddenly becoming an impressive looking bunch after the ball snap. And they're playing Elko and Bateman and that whole staff have them playing confident, they look like they know what they're doing and believe in what they're doing.
We could do an hour and a half just on the defense. I know we do need to move on, but I thought you were going to take that a different angle because it is interesting. I guess it was Bronny after the game. It said something about the 2022, everyone handed to the group class. It didn't work out, but the 23 class has got all the playmakers on. I mean, many of those playmakers. And then case in point is a lot of these guys you just mentioned had to work for everything they got on a football field. Nothing was handed to these cats. Deep in the depth chart. Go out and fight for everything you get.
Portal coming from smaller schools. I love the portal mix. We haven't even mentioned Tyler Onyedem And that D tackle group, they're playing their asses off.
How about DJ Hicks coming to the party now in year
Hicks
3?
Has been, well, Hicks, there's a guy. Like, there's a different story everywhere. You want the 5-star that was patient, worked for it.
Didn't go to Ole Miss or Tech.
You want the lower rated guy that just keeps getting better and better and better. That's Albert Regis. That's Damian Sanford. You want the Dalton Brooks is another one. Just kind of natural progression, like old school college football. Don't transfer. See your playing time get more and more. Start, then a second year start. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You want transfer from a big school. Des Riggs. You want guys that kind of transferred up. You say like Will Lee. You look at Ratcliffe. You look at, I'm thinking, Cassius Howell. You go to Casey Concepcion. By the way, hate to break it to the folks in Starkville and our man Brandon Walker, but Mario Craver transferred up.
Oh yeah, he did.
And we saw that on display on Saturday.
Yeah, we
By the
did.
way, I love beating Mississippi State because the Mississippi schools had been a problem for A&M.
Thorn
we
in your
always talk
side.
about that.
Yep.
This is starting to remind me of the end of the Tech rivalry, where Tech was so many times they were a season killer at A&M, and their fans still talk about it because they went through that run under Leach and even late Spike Dykes where they were winning so many games. And then the Aggies beat Leach, I think, in that final year, which, by the way, I think the Pirate would have, gosh, man, rest in peace, Mike. He would have loved this environment.
Oh, could you
imagine his comments of the eye patch reveille?
Oh, my gosh.
Man.
I'm actually getting sad.
I don't want to think of it. It makes me sad.
I'm actually getting sad right now.
Yeah, it does, because he was one of my
favorites.
favorites.
Can you imagine Leach going into that, win or lose, that environment? It was swashbuckling or whatever you'd say.
But A&M beat Tech their last the Tech fans forget this.
Yeah.
A&M beat Tech their last 3 times and kind of just bludgeoned them the last 3 times they played them. Handled them.
Twice up there.
I think one game was like 40-33 or something, but they handled them.
Yeah.
2 of 3 up
9,
there.
10, and 11. We beat them up there right after they beat OU on the road.
And if you look
Remember,
at
that was the fat little girlfriend's comment. Chip asked the question.
Yeah. And that was this Mississippi State. So it's 31-9. They beat them by 12 or 14 points last year in Starkville. Not really it was competitive, but that's the best you could describe it. Comfortable win in Starkville. And then the year before was, both teams fired their coach the next day, but
That's true.
That was an absolute bloodletting. And then
birth of the Walker, the skip touchdown celebration that night.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
What is it? The Jade slide or whatever?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And then what happened the year before in Starkville?
That would have been Leach. He beat us here when Elko was here, and then I think we got him.
I think A&M's beaten them 4 out of 5.
Yeah, they beat us over here in a game where we were just kind of preventing Will Rogers to death, and he was cutting us up for 8 to 10 yards. Yeah, they teched us.
It's nice to see A&M kind of close out this rivalry, and they're up 8-6 now in 14 games. So.
Yeah. All right, offensive football, Billy. I mean, we're talking about a 31-9 win, right? But for a long time, it was 3-0, and then for a long time, it was 7-3, going like under 4 minutes of the third quarter. In the end, you made the right plays. Certainly, that KC long ball kind of opened some stuff up and got a rhythm going.
It really did.
That was a big moment. And that was right after the pick, right?
Yeah.
So that was a huge moment in the game, late second.
And the Aggies started to move the ball before that. It took them about a quarter and a half to start moving it.
Yeah.
Because even when it was 7-3, that drive they went on to make it 14 to 3, with 5 plays, 62 yard. So they went 5-64. They got off to a little bit of a slow start in the third quarter. On one drive, they killed themselves, I think, with a penalty again on that second one. They moved the ball, but they moved the ball in the second drive. Then they went 5-62, 10-79, 424, 475. But they started going about midway through the second quarter. And that's when they had the goal line stand. That was probably the low point. It was a low point for the offense in this one. Marcel had the pick. That was first half.
Yeah, he came back and had that pick. In the very next drive, Howell gets flagged for that bogus call, and then 2 plays later was the pick.
Yeah.
Then we go down and have the PI to ABR, and then the long touchdown pass. So that was a massive, 3-minute stretch.
Yeah, so I think they started moving it midway through the second, but it was a struggle. And you go back to that Auburn game where they only scored once on the first drive. So, from that first drive until the last drive of the first half of the next game, so really almost 6 quarters between touchdowns for this team. And it wasn't 3-alarm fire. It wasn't like DEFCON 1 over here because we're watching them move the ball pretty consistently against a good Auburn defense.
Yep.
On the ground, through the air, 200-plus yards rushing. Marcel, the receivers producing against Auburn. So you weren't sitting there in panic mode like we've done in the past, but you're going, man, where's this Notre Dame offense? And you were just getting to that point, I think, after that goal line stand where you're like, what's up with the – and then they reminded you because they were – and it wasn't like Notre Dame looking. It was just efficient and dominant from that. And like you said, that pass from Reed to Casey, and it was just a great throw, so confident the way he just ripped it. And then Casey Concepcion with a little help, with a little help from Burkitcher. And he's like, screw this, I'm getting in the end zone. Tired of this.
It was just the will to win right there.
It was.
2 yards short, going to carry 2 guys in. And Elko talked about it. He played a lot of running back at State against them at Duke.
Yep.
He's like, when he has the ball, he's like, he's not Swope, but remember when Swope got the ball, he's like, that dude's going to run like a running back.
Runs like a running back, yes. And funny thing is, Craver does too, but he's just not really the same because he's so small. But they just are like, you're not tackling me.
Well, you're making a good point because then they started attacking the edges after 4 straight runs, 3 of which did not have Le'Veon Moss in the field. So that reminds you, we're getting PTSD from last year late. And then it's like, all right, well, now we're going to start attacking the edges here.
Yeah.
They did that down in the red zone after that. The rest of the game.
Ran Marcel. They had, they
threw on third, right, for KC back in the end zone.
Look, this offense, we can talk about the struggle part, but then if you don't realize how good they were once they got it going, they were shredding. Everybody talks about Tennessee's offense and Aguilar and the great receiver and, Heupel's offense. It took them a while to get started. The fact this team scored almost as much as Tennessee did in regulation, basically spotting Mississippi State 2 quarters.
Oh, yeah.
They exploded in the second half. And what I loved about it, it was just like against Auburn. Auburn, was it 207 each rushing and passing, I think? I'm pretty sure it was 209, 207. It was dead
close.
even.
Yeah, over 400
And in
total.
this game, forget about the stats. I'd like to see the second half stats. They're going to be slanted towards rushing, but they were just getting it done in both phases once they got going.
Yeah.
Throwing it, running it, getting guys open in space. You think about plays they got guys open in space. It was Craver, it was Bussy, it was Concepcion, it was Reuben Owens on a pass.
Owens, man. Yeah, he's the Sanford of the offense.
Well,
He's
Reuben
kind of come into
Owens,
play.
Look,
Last couple of weeks.
Reuben has had big plays. He had 30-plus yard run against Utah State. He had that big catch against Notre Dame down to the goal line. Nice catch for a running back up that seam.
Oh, for sure.
Then he had, against Auburn, he had that big run down the Auburn sideline, set up a score. I said this week, he was my sleeper pick of the week. And, career game. It's nice that you can go in 2 SEC games and basically have your starting running back and then your other running back average 140 yards a game 2 weeks in a row, 2 different backs.
Yeah,
not many teams can say or do that.
Well, when
Ruben
the
Owens
O-line-
was spectacular the other night.
He was, and the O-line started leaning on him too. You know, and that's what they can do when they get out of their own way. That's one of my biggest problems, right? It's like, God, we got ability. Like, we could have scored 30 against Auburn, and we did score 30 against Mississippi State. Still had a bunch of issues. Well, when you get out of your own daggum way, and the Cabo Fund's full at this point, put a cap on it.
Yeah, they don't need any trips.
No more
good.
trips.
Whole staff's good.
Yeah, everybody's paid for.
They did level it out after that. That was a pretty horrific start on the pit.
Yeah.
I want to see A&M get one return that counts.
I know.
I mean, look, these officials suck. Not just for A&M. They just suck.
They really
SEC officials, you're terrible at your job. I guess just all the good refs go to the NFL and get paid so much more and make a career out of it. And these guys, and that's not anything against all college refs. I got a good buddy of mine here in town. But he should be an SEC official. They need to upgrade.
No league's good at it.
I focus on one.
Yeah.
And I remember the Big 12 officials, but these SEC refs are awful. And all the way around. And I'm going to tell you something. We can talk about how bad they are. And I will be the first to say, I don't know, were the SEC refs against Notre Dame? They were, weren't they?
Oh, yeah, they were.
Thank you for sucking so bad on the final play of the game.
That's true.
On Casey Concepcion's touchdown, that play that we said turned the game around, thank you for sucking on that one too, because like half the Aggie offensive line false started on that because he didn't snap the ball when he was supposed to. Go back and watch that. I saw it live. I thought Fathery jumped. I was like, oh, and they didn't call anything. And then you go watch the replay, it's like 3 of them jumped because he didn't snap it. Everybody on the offense went. He was a tick late on the snap. So they just suck, period. I don't think it's a conspiracy out to get A&M. The Aggies got a couple of huge holding calls against Auburn that were holds. They were good calls, but it wasn't like they're not ignoring the other side here. They're just bad. And because of that, all the more reason that A&M and the players, and particularly this O-line, you've got to be careful because, like you said, if they haven't been shooting themselves in the foot, I think a lot of people today would be talking about why isn't A&M in discussion for number one. And I don't want that. And I'm not saying Texas A&M is the best team in the country today. But I mean, I think they're more than deserving of a top 5 ranking. I think they should be mentioned with Ohio State, Oregon, and Miami versus lumping them in with the Indiana, 5 teams or so behind them.
Totally agree.
Tech,
every team's got warts.
Alabama. You know, it's Tech, Alabama, Georgia,
Tennessee, maybe.
No, not yet. Not that group. It's right behind them. Who's right behind? It's Georgia.
Indiana's in that group.
Indiana, Georgia, Ole Miss. That's it. Ole Miss, Indiana, Georgia, Bama,
and Oklahoma,
and Tech, and OU.
Yeah, they
like that little group of 5. I would put A&M from what they've shown on the field, and really is a combination of you watch them, you think of their upside, you think of their guys that can win you football games, you measure them on both sides of the ball. You look at weaknesses, and you look at resume. And you add all that up, put the Aggies in that group. Because all of those things together, it doesn't mean they have to stay there. It doesn't mean they have to beat Florida. It guarantees nothing. But through today, they should be mentioned 100%. In that group not said, well, they're in this group.
There's not a lot of holes. There's a couple glaring things. And one
of them is penalty. And so here's my point. If you don't self-sabotage and you beat Auburn 31-3, and you beat Mississippi State 41-9.
Yes. Yep.
Now you might have lost to Notre Dame if you wouldn't have got that kick called back. We'll never know, thank God. You know, just the timing of it all, and both offenses were going up and down. But had you beaten Notre Dame and done that the last 2 weeks, which we all watched the games and we know how close it was to being that, what's the conversation around A&M football right now?
Most complete team in college football, possibly. At least the conversation being had, even as it stands today. Andy Staples has you 4, and the polls have you 5 in both of them. So I think you're right.
And I'm not arguing with any of that. With 4 or 5, it's
a good spot.
I'm just saying there's a group that everyone keeps talking about as like these are the 3, and then it's this. I think it should be these are the four.
Let me ask you what
and then
Oregon's
it's this
done.
group. I know. They beat Penn State.
They won a whiteout game against a team that just lost to a winless UCLA.
Yeah.
So they're a paper tiger. And it took overtime,
I'm not saying Ohio State's a paper tiger, but they beat a Texas team that Florida just manhandled, and they beat them 14-7. And yeah, they went and won at Washington, a team that took a miracle to beat Maryland this week. So look, I think Ohio State to me deserves to be number one. Miami to me has the best on-field resume, but I'm going to say this, Gabe.
Question.
I'll say this. You say that, right? No question.
No question.
Okay, I agree. What about after this week if A&M beats Florida?
Well, then you match it because Miami's got like 3 or 4 good wins, actually. Pretty decent.
I think you might exceed it. Let's think about it.
Then you'd have 4.
I haven't thought about it. Let's
wins.
think about it. They both beat Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
One beat Notre Dame on the road.
Yep.
They both beat them on the last play, basically. They would have both beaten Florida. Okay, so that's just a straight up wash.
Right.
So you're comparing Florida State and South Florida to Auburn and Mississippi State. It's pretty even.
It is.
Florida State would be the first team, and I really think those 2 SEC teams would be second and third. South Florida, I know they beat Florida, but I think, that's about as even a resume, and it would be, and the numbers tell it, all the strength of record, all that.
Oh, for sure.
They would be 1 and 2.
And then OU would probably be third if they beat Texas.
Yeah.
There's your top 3 based on just nothing but resume.
And Oregon will make a big jump
if
they, Oregon will make a big jump beating Indiana because now you'll have at Penn State and Indiana. So but still, if A&M wins this week, there's no question, no debate, no arguing that the 2 toughest paths to this point in the season would have been the Aggies and the Hurricanes, the best 2 resumes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, wholeheartedly agree. All right.
Now, Miami's from here on out, by season's end, A&M's schedule's light years tougher.
Oh, yeah. They just look like so much of an easier path now based on what we now know about
By the way,
the ACC.
we'll move on, but, we didn't even talk enough about Concepcion and Craver.
Well, it's every single week. You kind of like,
KC and Mario and KC.
It's like having Wade Taylor on your team. It's like, and he had 30. And now let's talk about somebody else on the team. Well, you get used to it.
These guys are every week, man. Like, I don't want to say it was like they didn't take over the game like Craver did against Notre Dame, or like Concepcion did in was it UTSA where he should have had 4 touchdowns. He had the back of the end zone one, the overthrow. But you look up, and these guys between them had 200 yards of offense. Concepcion had a punt return that would have set up a touchdown callback. They did it running. They did it receiving. And again, 200 yards of offense and 3 touchdowns. Between them, 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. How many times ever do we say that about A&M receivers? It probably happened a couple of times for like Reynolds and Kirk. Certainly happened a couple of times with Evans and Swope. But it didn't even feel like it was like, there's going to be a damn game. Well, they already had one where they had like 300 yards of offense.
Yeah, that was 9 and 13 years ago. We say like it was yesterday.
Exactly.
This is special what we're watching right here. You're going to get it for a year. Enjoy the ever-living heck out of it. These guys are clockwork.
I'm not making this up. It's completely hypothetical. But I'm like, you're going to have it this year. Who the hell knows? With the success they've had, maybe next year it'll be Craver and Cam Coleman or something.
You're right.
And then with Bussy and Ashton Bethel Roman and TK Norman, and then maybe you throw in,
it's portal,
any of these freshmen. I think Aaron Gregory should be like a 5-star plus. So I think these 2 guys you're going to look back on and go, man, whatever they do this year for this team could be something really special. But I think it was such a chicken and egg thing in terms of getting those impact game-changing receivers to come here without having to take the guys that were red flag mega risk, like Speedy Noyle and Demas, and you go on and on. Everybody but Christian Kirk, it felt like. And it was a chicken or egg. Like you had to break out of the pattern and have really productive receivers show what they could do in this offense, and now you're getting it. It's really nice. It's nice for the future, but it's a lot more nice for the now.
It's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. All right, this will give you a chance to go where you want to go around the SEC, especially if you want to zero in on the state capital. Buy, sell, rent. Presented by BockRealtyGroup.com. Want to invite you to check out the featured listings page at BockRealtyGroup.com and check out our inventory. We got 30 active listings on the market right now, from starter homes, luxury homes, estate homes, on the golf course, farmhouses, first-time home, investment properties. There's something for everybody. Check out our active listings at BockRealtyGroup.com. Team or player you're buying this week, Billy?
Hang on one second.
Okay. You want me to go first?
I want to hear yours first.
You sure?
Buy.
I was just trying to vamp.
I want to hear your buy. I want to hear your buy because I can play off.
Well, I'm going all in on the Ty Simpson stock, man. Somebody said if he's Manning, you just end the Heisman race right now. If it's Ty Manning, that was pretty funny. I mean, I think he is the front runner in my eyes. I don't know if that's right. But, I mean, it was all eyes on Diego last week, but the best QB on the field in that particular game was Simpson.
It was almost Diego.
I know.
He doesn't turn it over. Well, he might not have been the best, but he'd have been the winner.
It changed everything. Look, they gave him hell. There's no question about it. And you look at the stats and don't think it, but they really did watching that game. But he hits, I think Bernard's really good. Williams really good. The Bama coaches said something about that. Jan Miller's back, and they got that third guy that transferred from Miami. They love him. Fowler or something like that?
I don't know.
I mean, Bama looks really good. Now, they'll have a challenge this week. Early game in Missouri, kind of boring.
Mizzou coming off a bye.
Yeah. Drink's going to have something for him.
Third big game in a row for Bama. That's when it starts. That's for all the Texas fans that love to hate and watch and lend some love. That's what I talk about when I say the SEC grind.
You know what's next week, right? You know what Bama has next week?
Tennessee.
They still have LSU, OU, and at Auburn.
So
it's insane.
So it's just Missouri, right? That's your first. That's what people around this league think.
Yeah, but you're bludgeoning yourself.
It's a potential top 10 Missouri team. First of all,
exactly.
They have a bye week. You're going in at 11 a.m. to a place that you are the show now. You're Alabama, and it's your third week. And you had Georgia, then you had Georgia on the road, then you had Vandy in a revenge game that was actually a ranked Vanderbilt team that's, by the way, likely to stay ranked. Then you have this road trip to nothing against that. See, the Missouri people take this too personally. I'm nothing against that atmosphere. But they're going from playing in Athens and Tuscaloosa, 90, 100,000. And then you go there at 11 a.m. and a team that had a bye that, by the way, is really good. In case Missouri, calm down.
They are.
Really good.
Especially on offense.
And you also have this massive rivalry game the following week. Not that they're going to look ahead, but it's just like that is the SEC gauntlet. And that, Gabe, is what Texas and their fans did not understand. You got exposed to it last year.
Oh, yeah.
Because of how the schedule was. Texas did not. And so when you go to Florida and play in the swamp, it is dangerous. It is tough. Sark's right about that. He's wrong when he says, how would the other 135 teams fare? That was the softest comment by a head coach at the University of Texas that I might have ever heard.
He's on a Dan Mullen run right now of weird comments.
He is, between the toilet thing and this. And
you might as well wear a Darth Vader costume coming in a couple weeks.
Halloween's coming up.
He's go ahead and fire himself.
But if you think about it, how could you say that? South Florida just won there within the past month, and Texas A&M, your rival up the road, went down there and was up 33-7 a year ago, not to mention in between. So whoever won in between.
With a freshman quarterback.
To say that after that loss, that's so tone deaf, and you've got to understand your fan base. You've got to understand how frustrated it is. You've got to understand the media and giving them that kind of ammo. That was a really bad slip for him to say that. Coming off of that loss, but that's the SEC gauntlet.
Boy,
so you're struggling a little bit. and you got to go to the Swamp against a team that's backed in the corner. And on paper, when A&M, I was told last year when I said that was a huge win for the Aggies, there were a lot of people in my mentions, and you know who you are, from Austin, rooting for that team that were all over it, ridiculing it. Any Aggie that said it was a big win, they tried to shit on it. And now they don't have to be a great team for it to be a tough game to win. And you're going to find that out in Starkville.
They're going to say, yeah, they're about to head there.
And I'm saying that about Florida this weekend. And if Texas would have beat them 29-21, I'd still be saying that about Florida. And you're going to find out in Starkville in a few weeks, because what you didn't have to do last year, you came to Kyle Field, you went to Fayetteville at 11 a.m. You did beat the Aggies at night at Kyle. Take nothing away from that. You dominated that game. But you didn't have to go to the Swamp. You didn't have to go to the Cowbell Country. You didn't have to go to Death Valley. You didn't have to go to Fayetteville at night. You didn't have to go to Oxford. There's so many. Sanford Stadium where they're going this year.
Not to mention the backup quarterbacks, all the injuries they had.
That too. You didn't have to go to Knoxville, Tennessee and freaking Rocky Top. Like,
that's right.
You didn't have to go to Sandstorm at night.
Not easy.
There is so much that they missed, and you don't apologize for it. You went in the playoffs and you beat Clemson and you beat a good Arizona State team and you took Ohio State to the end. Like, and you won at Kyle Field. And you lost in OT, right, to Georgia for the SEC title.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing to apologize for, but just acknowledge that you're wrong. The SEC gauntlet is real. Alabama's facing it this weekend. Texas got a taste of it last weekend. Florida's going to feel it. I mean, look at Florida right now.
Yeah.
Look what they've played, and look what they've got upcoming. They just played Texas. They've already played in Death Valley. They've played Miami, and now they're going to Kyle Field. They've got, it's crazy.
Florida, South Carolina, and Bama, to me, are the hardest schedules in the country.
Yeah. How about Auburn? How about Auburn? They go OU, A&M, bye week, Georgia, Missouri.
No, seriously.
Anyway.
Sark, by the way, 2-8 against top 10 teams in Texas, 5-18 all time against the top 10, 3 different styles.
Crazy.
So
my
that's
bye
what it is.
My bye this week, and Mike Elko, by the way, 3-2 against top 10 teams.
Mm-hmm.
My bye is coming out of the SEC this past week. Do we leave A&M? We leave A&M off of this,
typical,
right?
so
because I would be buying A&M's defense. But I'm with you. My buy is Ty Simpson in Alabama. I think I went from rent.
Yeah.
Or did I buy them last week?
You usually rent to own.
I think I bought them.
I think you went rent buy, and you can still buy more. That's the thing about stock.
Okay,
you and I both.
I'm going to buy Ole Miss this week.
Really?
They're sitting on a bye week. I'm just buying them because of their schedule and their team. I think I'm buying them as a playoff team. I think they're going to end up. I don't think they're unbeatable. I think they're going to end up 10-2 and in the college football playoff.
I struggle with Ole Miss because I get LSU, and I know Chambliss has been unbelievable. What a great story.
They did barely beat Arkansas.
And Kentucky. Arky by 6, Kentucky by 7. Right. Now, you tell me who's worse than them in the SEC. I think they're 15-16.
They were kind of fortunate to beat Kentucky.
Telling you what they were. 2 years in a row. They did lose last year.
But I'm buying them because of that schedule.
Yeah.
And I think they're feeling it right
sets
now.
Up. Yeah. If they can get by, is it like at Georgia, at OU, back to back?
Look, I don't think Ole Miss is like a guarantee to beat Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So, but I'm buying them because I'm pretty sure I bought Bama.
Okay.
Now, ask me if I'm buying Bama as a national title contender. I'll say yeah. They've kind of moved into that category for me because there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And Bama's as much as anybody. And I'm feeling better. I hope it doesn't happen because I hope it's the Aggies, but I'm feeling a lot better about my preseason pick. Our preseason pick. Didn't you do it too? Mm-hmm. Pick, or maybe it was me and Nuno picked Alabama to win the SEC.
No, I didn't make a pick.
Okay. I did. I think Nuno and I picked them, so that looked really bad after that Florida State game, but I'm feeling better about that.
How about sell?
Oh man, I mean, I think it goes without saying. I'm selling Texas.
Sark Vegas.
I'm selling Sark. I'm selling Arch Manning.
Did you ever own any Arch?
I'm not. No, and I'm not doing it like this shock jock writer for The Athletic did.
That's insane.
That was stupid. And it was. By the way, like there's also a degree of like it's unfair. It's just. I mean, I know the guy makes a bunch of money and he's on commercials but he's still at an age and he's still the guy that at SEC Media Days told people, I haven't done anything. It's not him. And you can't expect him to turn down life-changing money. None of that. Like, so you can't hold that against him. But to say synonymous with failure, I thought was awful.
That seemed lowbrow to me.
The guy started like, by the way, not to defend him. I'm going to move on to my next point about Arch, but his 2 Power 5 starts this year have been in the Swamp and at the Horseshoe against the number 1 team and defending national champs. So, like, let's factor that in. Now that was my defense of him. And I don't think he deserves the crap he's getting as far as burying a quarterback at that stage of his development.
Yeah. The higher they build you up, the further you have to fall, right?
Who built him up?
Well, mostly Longhorn fans and the national media.
No, they will tell you it's the media now.
Uh-huh.
They have done revisionist history in Austin. The fans, their own media.
Well, I think about Feinbaum. All he said was he's the best college football player in history since Tebow.
But take out the media.
Yeah. Okay.
First of all, they bought every single thing the media sold them, and they threw it in your face.
Oh, yeah.
Norman, College Station, the rest of the SEC. Hell, they were doing it 2 weeks ago when they beat Sam Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Aura Manning, he's back.
Do they believe all that, or are they just doing it because that's who they are? You think they really believe, like, I think he's amazing. He hadn't done crap.
I think less and less.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like, they bought it. They pushed it. They bought it. Their media talked him up, and now they all pretend they didn't. Go read about it. I was sitting here saying, 4 new starters on the O-line. You lose in a couple years span. Whittington, you lose Worthy, you lose A.D. Mitchell,
Gunnar
then
Helm,
you lose Golden, you lose Jatavian Sanders, Gunnar Helm. That's a lot to lose in 2 years, and there's no guarantee.
Well, Jaden Blues is number 2 for the Cowboys right now.
Well, running back, they lost a ton, but I thought they'd bring back running backs. I'm talking about the receivers and the O-line, the pass catchers, including the tight ends, and the O-line. You lost so much, and by the way, you lost Quinn Ewers, pretty damn good college quarterback.
Yeah.
All he did was lead you to 2 college football semifinals. For them to just attack anyone that would say that and think that it was the most non-football. No, and these were their media did it, their fans did it to everyone all offseason. You were wrong. We were right. We were being reasonable. What you're seeing from Arch now and what you're saying, what their fan base is saying, too high an expectation for a guy in his first year going through the SEC. Give him time. Bad offensive line. How can he do it? Let him develop. That's all we said.
That's right.
I think everyone thought, and I still think this guy's going to be a really good quarterback. It's just not right now. And he might get better and better starting in the Swamp.
Or he may need a scenery change.
Yeah, I hope, well, I mean, look, they'd hope it on us. I hope that's not the case for him. But to me, instead of pointing the finger at your offensive line, point it at the head coach. Because he looked at Arch and went all in when he was playing at that little school in New Orleans. You went all in on him. You could have brought Quinn Ewers back. By the time it came to it, Quinn knew how low he was getting drafted.
He would have come
You
back.
could have NIL'd him to the moon. It would have been
Yep.
perfectly justifiable. He'd have come back. But you couldn't because you went all in with Arch. So you watched enough over 2 years to say, it's fine, we're all in with him. You watched enough of your O-line to go, it's fine, we don't need portal help. They've had one injury, and that guy wasn't anything proven either. You looked at that receiving core, and I was told by their fans, I read it, I wasn't told, I read how they didn't want Casey Concepcion. Oh, no, he might be a problem in the locker room. That's what they said. That you didn't want him. There are other really good receivers out there that they didn't go and portal. So you saw all of that, and you said, we're good with this. That was so. It's not Arch Manning's fault. It's he needs to look in the mirror there.
Well, the defense hadn't been much better of late.
Yeah, I know, but I
So,
think
Texas in general is a sell.
I think the defense, to me, Gabe, was the same thing I said about them, which was I think Collins and Broughton were grown-ass men that had proven it in 2 conferences. And I saw Collins force a fumble this past week in the NFL, like down on the goal line.
Yep.
And I thought Makuba, who's playing a lot for the Eagles,
the Thorpe Award winner,
and the Thorpe Award winner. I think Michael Taft is a great college player, and he'll be an NFL player too. But those guys, we've seen it at A&M over the past. Like you play alongside Von Miller, you look a hell of a lot better. Thorpe Award winner and I think a game changer in Makuba. Everybody looks better. They did really miss Muhammad at corner this weekend. It certainly had an effect on that game. But I'm just telling you, I'm selling. And I think what they're saying about Arch Manning, you weren't saying that this summer. And you went after people like Jordan Rodgers or anybody that dared say,
oh, man,
I am not ready to bestow all this upon him because I just haven't seen him do it yet.
Yeah.
You kept showing me one pass against Mississippi State where he got hit in the mouth. I've never questioned and still don't his upside. That arm talent it's elite, but that position more than any, you have to develop. You have to have like a good offensive line in front of you. You don't want him to be David Carr. That's what Sark and them have to worry about. But anyway, I'm selling them.
Yeah, I mean, I never owned any Texas stock, neither did you, but I agree. I'm selling them. All right. I'll do a rent quick and tee you up, but I'll rent Michael Hawkins Jr. if he has to do it.
Are you?
I'm renting him. Okay?
I kind of laughed there. I hope I'm wrong.
Back up at OU. I know it was Kent State, so you can't put any stock on that, but it is year 2. He was terrible last year against him, wasn't he?
Terrible.
And so now you got this. I mean, look, they're talking about Mateer might play, but it sounds like it'll be a game time decision. But Hawkins,
with Mateer, how much is he able to practice? If
that's
you can't
the thing.
practice
It's throwing
for 3
hand
weeks,
too. It's
if
wild.
you don't practice much in 3 weeks, you ain't going to go out there and beat Texas.
Look, I'm not going all in, but OU's defense, low scoring game. Hawkins could get over and get the ball into the hands of some of those playmakers on the outside or run for it.
By the way,
in like a 17-13 type of game, I still think they can win. So
OU's O-line, people don't talk about this enough. Their O-line ain't good. Kind of stink. And
well, they're not running.
They don't have a running game.
Yeah.
You remember A&M ran for 207 against Auburn. OU ran for like 52. They don't have a running game. Their O-line's not very good. That ain't a good formula because you know what Florida had? A running game and a good O-line. That ain't a good formula to go play against Texas. And that's what gives you hope as an Aggie against, when they play Texas later on down the road. They do have a good O-line. They have a running game. OU does not. But I'll tell you, I worry for Hawkins in that one if he has to play. But who I really worry for is Arch and that OU defensive front because they are real. They are beasts up there up front. They're monsters. So it'll be a really interesting game to watch. But I'm not buying or renting Hawkins. I'm renting.
My fandom coming out. I'm
renting Vandy. I know I may have had him in a buy earlier, but I saw nothing on Saturday that made me not want to hang on to Pavia and Clark Lee and Vandy. If he doesn't fumble that one early, they go up 14-0. If they don't have a defensive breakdown before halftime, that game's not tied at the half. They really let that get away. And then as you talk about late in that game, it's 30-14. It was 20-14. Was it midway through the fourth? And they had that big conversion.
Pavia is driving, right?
Well, Pavia had another red zone turnover. Yeah.
Yeah, two of them.
Another red zone turnover. And then Bama had a third down. They handed it to the big O lineman.
Yep.
He gets the first down. They end up scoring.
Proctor. Yep.
They kick a field goal, and then Jam Miller, with the line busting touchdown in the final 30 seconds. But really, that was a 6-point game with Vandy with the ball. Then it was a 6-point game where Bama had to convert a short yardage thing. That game was definitely in doubt in the later stages. So right. I feel better about Vandy.
Well, they held up physically against them. You're right.
So if you're on Vandy's schedule, watch out.
Yep.
They're going to win another one against somebody that they're not expected to. And right now, I'm not sure they weren't expected to beat South Carolina. So they got one in them. They're going to upset somebody.
Or sure.
Whether it's Texas, whether it's LSU, they're going to get somebody.
Yeah, I agree, Billy. That's a really good one. And, that game reminded me of like 2016 Trevor Knight, where they hit you with a big play that was Damian Harris against us. And then Trevor Knight had the fumble 6. This time I think I am right, that they returned it for a touchdown.
Yeah,
you got me last week. I think I'm right about that one. And it's like, oh, shoot, we lose by 2 scores, and I can name 2 plays right there and it's the final 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second, where they just kind of Nick Saban'd you.
Yeah.
They kind of played a little vintage Bama there. It wasn't like they just dominated Vandy.
No.
They just dominated these key moments of the football game.
Absolutely. Vandy's good. Yeah. They're legitimately good. They're a good SEC football team.
I know it. It's fun to watch.
Yep.
I can't wait for you. And I saved this question for Easton because he kind of upstaged me live on camera when I'm recording it. I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm going to save that for Easton. So here's Easton's Corner this week. Pay attention to that question for Billy at the end.
This is Easton's Corner, and coming out the Mississippi State week, our defense looked awesome. Cassius Howe just keeps rolling. Des Riggs was locking up defenders again. I mean, he only let off that one deep ball because you can't hold him for a full game. That's the only really big play Mississippi State had the whole game. This week, we have Florida coming into Kyle Field. They have the home advantage against Texas, who I don't think is good this season. I mean, they're rolling off hot, so we do have to show up and play. Our defense has to show up and play for a 3rd straight game. I mean, and our offense has to get the ball into the end zone more easy than we did. We can't just keep doing the same thing of get down there, get to the 1-yard line, run the ball 4 times, turn the ball over at the 1-yard line. Our offense needs to be more electric and get the ball into the end zone easier. I understand Le'Veon is a little banged up, but if you are going to run the 1 yardage things, you have to have Le'Veon Moss in there. We need to get KC and Mario rolling more and more every single game. It can't be one of those games where one of them does really good and one of them has a down game. So against Florida, we need to lock up that number 6. We need offense from every aspect, less penalties. We need everything across the board. And we need our defense to be locked down. We need just 3 straight games of really good defense. And that leads to my question for you, Billy, is rank the top 5 best players on defense for Texas A&M.
In order. By the way, if he sounded tired, he might have borderline got concussed. He got trucked twice against Navasota.
Did he really?
I'm talking like, remember when Swope trucked that dude?
Yeah.
Down over there by our goal line. It may have been Arkansas. But I mean, I'm telling you, he got decleated, and I've got it on video.
I got to see
for a pitcher. That. I tell you what, he just wasn't good. I mean, he probably had to ponder whether or not he wanted to keep playing.
That happens. That'll happen. He's at that age where you find out whether you want to keep going. I actually didn't. How old is he now? What grade?
Well, I'll be 13 this Sunday.
What grade is he?
7th.
Yeah. So I actually did not played football growing up, did not play in junior high, and then started up again in 9th grade. So
Wow.
I missed those years where you might take one of those hits. I might have got decleated in junior high by Kevin Sampson at Sugarland Junior High and not wanted to play anymore. But I think it might have helped me to skip that out because then I was hungry to get back. I was baseball. I love baseball in junior high, and I thought I could play basketball. But that 9th grade, they told me, you're not. You need to just do 2 sports, not 3.
They've already told him he's not good enough for basketball.
Yeah, but not doing junior high football, I was like all fired up and ready to go from 9th grade. So then that carried that all the way through high school. But
plus, you weren't 81 pounds. He's 81 pounds.
I was pretty skinny back then.
That's probably why you didn't play. Like you'd have to deal with that.
I was
being
tall
smaller.
and skinny, but I was also still fast in junior high.
Okay,
that came to a screeching halt in 9th grade, where they're like, "You're a wing T tight end."
How's it stand today? How's your speed?
Oh, I wouldn't even. I think my knees hurt. I think it would blow out.
He's asking you an interesting question.
Yeah, top 5 players on defense
in order.
Man, it's really tough for me at 1 between. I'd almost go 1 and 1A, York and Howell. Different ways. I think 3. I might go Des Ricks today. How he's played so far.
Absolutely.
The fun thing is this can move around. After that,
that's my top 3.
It's really difficult after that because I see like Dalton Brooks and Damian Sanford doing this. In the last 2 weeks, Damian Sanford's absolutely in there. But you're going for the season to date, but Damian Sanford should be on that list if you're talking about top 5 with how he's played the last 2 weeks.
All games that mattered.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think Brooks is ascending.
Yep.
I think Ratcliffe has been really consistent.
Definitely.
Man, if I'm going 4 and 5, and Will Lee in the last 2 weeks too, like he and Sanford to me.
Those cats inside you that you just talked about.
Yeah, he and Sanford the last 2 weeks, boom, up and up.
Yep.
The problem is you're talking about how about the interior D lineman? How do you grade? Like, you'd have to ask like Mike Elko, Tony Jarrett, Eddie, Sean Spencer, Bateman, like who's like grading out, because I think all 3 of those guys have been really good. Really good. I just don't know who's playing the best to put in there.
So by default, you just go 17 because he's been here forever. And
or do you go Higgs because he's made like he's kind of he's flashy. So you
almost have to give him credit because they're clogging up the middle. Nobody can run on us.
I don't know who you'd put. I'd almost go right now like just totally do like you and I do, cheat and go 4 Sanford 4 and 5 Sanford and Lee, and put an asterisk and say last 2 games, like current now today as they take, or do you go 4 the D tackle position? Because I just don't know who to pick. I'll put it this way. I would probably put Sanford because of his impact the last 2 games, and then I would put, I don't know who I would pick. I'll just say whoever is within Bright considered the best playing interior guy. I just don't know who it is because they all seem very effective to me. And you look at the rushing totals by the opponents, they certainly have been effective.
Yeah. It's interesting because we don't talk about
Good question.
I said Howell, Ricks, York, Sanford, Regis, and it's not far from what
if you'd have cut it off at 3, I would have had an easier time.
Oh, definitely. I like they said top 5. I was going to put it in a 3-pack and do 3, and it would have been a much easier question. Yep. So he's better than I am.
The good news is that feels like a moving target.
Yeah, I know.
When you talk about
like 9,
3D tackles, you don't know who to. A week ago, I'm like, what about Deion Hayes? Is he going to pop up in there? And he could. It could be this weekend.
When Scooby's healthy, don't forget about him.
Scooby.
I guarantee you Scooby's going to want to play this week. It's Florida, and he doesn't want to get Wally Pitt.
Absolutely. Then you go Will Lee. Then you go, I keep talking, Dalton Brooks. So it's a fun question because it's hard.
Yeah.
If it was an easier question, it probably means your defense isn't that good.
And you got a bad reporter.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do this. A&M Florida, close it out. Been awesome. This has been fun. it's turned back the clock night, right? Kyle Field, they're honoring the 75 team 50 years ago, ascended to number 1 that year. And hopefully Bubba Bean and Pat Thomas and Tank Marshall are proud of the look, but hopefully by the end of this thing, even more. Remember that team the next year beat Florida in a bowl game, kind of handled them. Yeah. So hopefully this thing's on the full display in maroon and white Saturday night. And these boys looking back 50 years, looking at those jerseys, are super proud of what they see. But it's going to be a heck of a matchup, Billy.
How many times have you played Florida in the SEC? Is it 5 in 13 years?
12.
It'll be 6 in
Open
14
the whole
years.
thing against them.
You lost in 12. You beat them in
17.
17. You beat them in 20.
Yep, here in COVID.
You lost in 22. That was awful. You had 31 guys. That was one of the lowest points, I think. That was the low. Well,
and then 23 and 24.
And then you beat them in 23. So you're up 3-2.
And last year.
Or no. Did you play them in 23? No.
Well, I thought I did.
No, I don't think you did.
Did we not?
I think A&M, you beat them last year. A&M's 3-2.
Okay.
It would, for the obvious reason of continuing what's happening right now, but I would love to see this program be 4-2 against a Florida Gator program with national championships and all that history. When you talk about when people talk about A&M and the SEC, those are the type of things I like to see. That's why it was important to not be sitting at 500 against Mississippi State. To me, it was important to get to 500 against Auburn, in 14 tries. To me, you want to fare well. You want to be able to say, look, the only reason our record is what it is because Nick Saban won 11 out of, or 10 out of 12. Who else didn't? He did that to everybody. You've evened it up with LSU. You've won 4 of the last 7. The home team keeps winning.
Mm-hmm.
Things like breaking through in Baton Rouge, going 4-2 against Florida, that stuff matters. But none of it matters more than keeping that 0 in the loss column. Keeping this team in the national conversation, in the national title conversation, in the SEC title conversation. Every week you can do that. It becomes more and more of a reality, more and more realistic of a goal, more and more of an opportunity. And I can't even imagine the brand and program value that you gain from living there for an extended period of time, which is what A&M has not typically been able to do, and that's what they're doing right now. So, look, this is a tough football team. They're going to test you on the line of scrimmage more so than anyone you've played.
Yep. Both
they
sides of the
feel
ball.
like now they're going to want to be a big play. It's the best defense you've faced. It's a dangerous running. It's a really good running game. It's a dangerous offense. They played Miami off their feet. It is the games they've lost. They've been right there. It is a tough football game. But again, I love the fact that it's at Kyle Field at night. And all we talk about is how tough Florida is, how they've got all this momentum now after beating Texas. But what about how tough A&M is? And what about the A&M defense and the A&M line of scrimmage and the Aggie running game and Marcel Reed and the Aggie playmakers and
they're going to have
Mike
nightmares of
Elko.
last year thinking about Marcel Reed
And Mike Elko. And you want to talk about momentum. There's so much momentum on the Maroon side in this too. So everything you can say about Florida, which is deserved, and it's why this is going to be a tough game, you can absolutely say it about A&M. And so I'm excited for it. It's SEC football. It ain't going to come easy. The Aggies are going to have to play well to win. If they don't, they're going to have to play better than they have the last 2 weeks to win. That much I'm certain of. And I think this is building to where they will, and they're certainly going to look at Florida and look at that tape and go, we got a fight on our hands. And I think everybody in maroon and white, from the coaches to the players to the fans, all understand that. So I think Kyle Field's going to be rocking.
Going to be fun, my man. Like any good movie, about 2/3 of your prep is the cutting room floor, right? You never see the light of day,
How'd
which
that
is
go
good
for
stuff. I do like that. That's pretty good. All right, episode 7 in the books, Looch. That's fun stuff. Meet us right back here next week about this time. TexAgs.com/live and TexAgs YouTube every Wednesday. For Looch Bock, Ags and Gators, Saturday, 6 o'clock at Kyle. Turn back the clock. Let's play some Wrecking Crew defense for a third straight game. That'd be fun. Gig 'em, let the good times roll. We'll talk to you next week.